Test, test, test. Can you hear me now? This is Lavonne. I'm hoping you're hearing me. Welcome back to the show. Sorry I wasn't live last Friday. I was stranded in the desert, but I'm so happy to be here with you actually, like right now. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Test, test, test. This is Lavonne. Did you hear me? Okay, so welcome back to the show. Tonight we're discussing, hopefully you can hear me. Tonight we're discussing spinal health along with some news in relation to why that's important. On Friday nights we try and balance out the news, which is usually, yay, you can hear me. Sorry guys, it wouldn't be a normal Friday night with me unless there was some sort of technical error. I'd like to take this moment to put out a public announcement, like now seeking inspirational, fun co-hosts who's technical so that I don't have to push buttons or do things because it's not my best. This is not my best suit. I'm a talker. I'm a thinker. Someone come push buttons for me. Okay, anyways, back to the subjects. Tonight we're going to go over some awesome news stories on antimedia.org. You guys can follow me along there. I want to touch just a little, not too much, on the obviously rigged election. I'm not even kidding. That's so much crap. But more importantly, I want to talk about spinal health and clean eating, kind of getting back to my roots as an individual. I started being an activist and a promoter of health because I realized that our bodies are innately self-sustaining and regenerative. Regenerative. There we go. Woo! Regenerative. And that is miraculous to me because how am I going to allow myself to be suppressed if I were born a naturally self-preserving machine? Aha! Why? Exactly. It's silly. Your body's intention all day, every day is to heal, repair, and rebuild based on what kind of nourishment it receives. This is amazing to me because if you're ever in a rut and you're not understanding life or your resistance or any of that dense, heavy chains that we tend to ponder as humans, like just remembering the sheer fact that your body in the moment, every moment is trying to repair and heal and grow into something that is better is very comforting, very inspiring, and it's just plain out lovely. Like, I wish people had that notion. Oh, what's cold? One moment.
They decided not to talk to us. How unfortunate. But yeah, that to me is amazing, and I'm really impressed with people in general because of that sheer fact. So, don't let the fact that you live in a society based on consumerism, mass corruption, and suppression of natural-born sovereign rights discourage you. But in all seriousness, guys, we can do much better. This political monkey show that's being paraded in front of us is fuckery. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone's done with it. It's just a joke. And most people are realizing that Trump is a scapegoat in a sense to sway the public towards Hillary. And we know that there's a lot of ballots that haven't been accounted for here in California. And who knows how many states that's happening in, and we've seen the same thing in various elections in the past. And I think it's getting to a point now where we just need to exercise our power a little bit more and take back true rights of what happens in our society. And it sounds daunting, and it probably really, really is, but not as much as you think. Because each person in their own is super powerful. I know it sounds cliche, and you've heard it a million times, but have you actually believed it? So, Amazingly enough, your brain, hold on to your seats, okay? Hold on to your seats. Your brain is like a super freaking computer. It can process more things than we can ever fathom or imagine. And because of this, it's able to maintain all functions of the body simultaneously. Homeostasis, for one, blood circulation, um, the breakdown and removal of fuel and waste, the production of new cells, not to mention reproduction aspects. And the list goes on. The body is just this incredible machine with so many different levels and barriers and functions and sections. But what matters is that it communicates to itself. And how it does this and connects all of these parts is through your nervous system. Whoa, there's a thing you may have heard about once in a great while, once upon a time in school, but maybe for, oh, you're so cool. Hold on, everybody. Fast guy driving by. Yeah. Sorry, I'm live from my Love Cats mobile tonight, so we've got some travelers. Anyhow, via the nervous system, which there are two types, your body is able to control all these functions that are delegated from the brain to all the other little parts of the body. And it happens in such a record time, like less than a second. And why this matters is because if the part of you that maintains all the other part of you, bear with me, if the component that controls everything is what's the best word, impinged in any way or interfered with, you're going to have dysfunction. And the most wonderful thing about chiropractic care, and why I'm talking about this tonight, is because I stopped going for about a year. It's been a year exactly. And I went for 5 years pretty consistently. I never felt better. My anxiety, which I used to like suffer with, which I've been having pretty terrible problems with as of late, has resurfaced. And I didn't even realize, like, I don't know if you guys can hear my voice, but I'm a lot less like seamless in my speech. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I can tell that there's a delay. Like, being what they call subluxated or misaligned, like, definitely has an effect on me. I used to have trouble sleeping. I used to have major issues with my Crohn's disease, which I treat holistically with cannabis. But in conjunction with chiropractic and acupuncture, like, I was feeling pretty optimal. So I've just noticed like the return of headaches, and I don't have as much energy, and being anxious is hard. It's difficult to really accomplish a whole lot because you're just, it's kind of scatterbrained. I feel like scatterbrained. And chiropractors treat subluxations, and what that is when a misalignment of the spine actually sits on one of those nerves or those neural pathways in which those messages from the brain travel. So what happens is, like, you get a bone out of place and it puts pressure on the muscle or causes inflammation, which puts pressure on the nerve. And literally these little messages are like cars, and they get kind of stuck and they don't get delivered. So you can have your brain trying to tell your body, like, hey, produce more of this, or make less of this, or hey, go regulate this. And it's not able to do it. So I don't know exactly what part of my body is subluxated, but I have pain in my neck, like in my upper head, actually like where my neck and my mid-back connect. And I've noticed that I don't have as much strength in one of my arms. And interestingly, that nerve comes right out of there. So it's just a bunch of little things that you kind of realize how connected your body is once you go from a place of trauma, which I grew up injuring myself and never getting proper care. And then I finally got to a place where my body was like functioning well, meaning I didn't have aches and pains weren't normal, headaches weren't normal, getting good sleep was normal. Having like several bowel movements and frequently eating was normal. Now, though, I notice everything kind of shifting backwards. And what's what's amazing is that it's kind of like living in San Diego, where it's beautiful all the time, and you kind of get sick of the sun and the perfect 70-degree weather. I'm not kidding. I know, don't hate me. But once in a while it rains and people freak out, but then they also do something miraculous, which is appreciate that they live in paradise. And for me, this past year of kind of like self-inflicted neglect has been really beneficial because I learned how important chiropractic is. And I think that matters to me a lot because you can't share what you don't have. And I reached a point in my experience with chiropractic that I I didn't find benefit in it, but I think it's because I was kind of miscommunicating to my practitioner, which is another really important thing is you got to find a good chiropractor. You got to find one that you're comfortable with, just like any other doctor, and you got to communicate to them. Because what happens is sometimes you get one that's technique specific. And what that means is that that chiropractor is going to adjust you or manipulate your spine in the only way that they know how. Maybe they learned one specific type of way of adjusting, and maybe that's not the best for you. Everybody's body is a little bit different. So some people can handle forceful adjustments, some people can handle really light adjustments. So it just kind of depends on the severity of your muscle tightness too. Like if your muscles are really tight, they attach to the joints and the bones, so they're not exactly going to move very freely or easily. So being comfortable is really important. And any good chiropractor will teach you that you're not just bones, you're not just muscles, you're not just emotions, you're not just tissues, you're the whole thing. So I kind of had a traumatic experience last year that kind of thwarted me into an unfortunate place of growing. I'll put it that way. It was like a double-edged sword, like a beautiful disaster in a sense, which if you look at tragedies in your life, they very much could be my tragic moments. I always try and find the silver lining, or else you'll shrivel up and die, I swear. You gotta do it. You gotta find the glory and the horror as much as possible. But something happened to me where I was forced into a place of contemplation. And I sat there and I thought for a really long time about what really matters in life. What what really freaking matters? And it's your health. It really is. Like if you're not healthy, you can't earn a living. You can't interact with the people you love in the way that you want. You can't get the most out of your day because you're not able to experience it in the way that you should. You miss out on a lot of things, whether it's an activity, an encounter, a moment that you could have been studying or reading, or resting even. Maybe you get better rest by taking care of yourself. And why this matters is because you have like a more enriched experience. But what boggles my mind, because in backwards land, we don't learn these things. Instead, we learn how to judge each other. Instead, we learn how to be fearful of each other. We learn self-loathing. We learn insecurity. And we learn how to like belittle and make fun of each other. That's part of our culture. And I don't understand it. But as I get older and I become more objective, I realize that that's part of the brainwashing. That's part of the programming. That's part of the control of the machine that we really exist in, the capitalistic machine. And it's unfortunate because those things are trivial, meaning all of the coercion is trivial, but it's It's in the forefront of our minds, so it's very important to us, meaning that we're unconsciously doing these things that have been programmed into us. And it seems trivial only because of that. But we have to change the way that we feel about ourselves, or else people aren't going to change the way that they allow their society to function. Does that make any sense? So, I really believe in the power of chiropractic, and I really believe in the power of the body, and I really believe in sharing that with people. So if you guys have any awesome chiropractic stories, feel free to call me. I'm gonna try and add you guys to the conversation if you do so. But let's get into a few news stories here. We've got some pretty awesome things going on the website, and I'll get back to the chiropractic in a second here. But excuse me 1 second here. Last week, something that really caught my eye was this headline talking about where'd it go? Oh, cannabis and how it's been used as a tool. Oh, I can't find it here. Okay, so we'll get on to this. You guys heard me talk about the blockchain before, and how not only taking care of yourself, but truly connecting with others in an uncensored way is going to help us propel ourselves as a society. So Carrie wrote a really awesome article called "New Social Network Based on Blockchain Technology Wants to End Censorship." And I love this idea because what if we could talk to each other like actually? We've used the internet as a tool with censorship already through these same platforms that we all utilize. And we've been pretty amazingly powerful. But let's be real, we're being censored all the time. And just imagine what could happen. So, as Facebook and other digital social platforms repeated accusations of censorship, a blockchain-based social networking platform is emerging with the express purpose of combating censorship. We're basically living in an information age plagued by arbitrary censorship and digital amnesia, affecting every internet user, says Akasha project founder and CEO Malali Alizi. Excuse me, that's probably incorrect. That digital amnesia, he argues, is a consequence of inefficient servers that fail to guarantee the permanence of information. As Bitcoin Magazine explains, information, websites, documents, email archives, video, etc. can either be purposefully deleted by the governments and/or corporations that control today's internet, or more simply, but equally tragic, just disappear for the lack of maintenance of the central servers where it's hosted. The Akasha project, which aims to be a decentralized, we've heard that word before, publishing platform akin to Medium or Reddit, is the result of various forms of technology intersecting to promote freedom of information and a free-flowing internet. Traits Akasha's founder, Malali, believes that are central to the digital age. We believe that freedom of expression, access to information, and privacy are fundamental human rights that should be respected on the internet as well as in real life. Moreover, we are a civilization transitioning into an information-based society, and as such, we feel that permanent storage of information for future generations is a critical issue and should be striving to solve as soon as possible. So they bring up a really good point. We are in the age of information, and censorship is a big thing, and having proper storage is also a major thing. But luckily, the blockchain, which is generally more associated with Bitcoin and other financial transactions rather than social networking, is actually a technology which we've discussed before. I actually propose that we could use the blockchain as a form of government, actually decentralizing the government entirely by being transparent and connecting everyone simultaneously. But these people are using it for Akasha because the internet, Brewster Kallaugh has explained um, that the blockchain technology enables the Bitcoin community to have a global database with no central point of control. Similarly, with Ethereum, we remove the need for servers, avoiding the design stage all the problems associated with censorship. All history has taught us that when censorship shows its ugly face, it usually isn't in the best interest of society. And people at the large, on the contrary, now with all the horrible things that have happened, you'd want to learn from the mistakes and try and avoid making them again. You guys can read the rest of the article. Carrie goes on to explain that, after all, it's not the information that wants to be free. It's us. Boom, shakalaka. And that's the truth, damn it. Like, backwards land! How are we going to live in a time where we have the most amazing, miraculous technologies, but still allow ourselves to be suppressed? And I'm going to get back to this point every time, and it's our mindset, and it's the way we think about ourselves and the way we've been taught. So that's why most, like 99% of the stuff I say to you sounds insane. Because you haven't been taught that you're an amazing machine of glory and that you can do miraculous things. And I know this and I believe this because I've been there. I've been that person. I've been through some crazy things. Like you all have too, I'm sure. But maybe you forgot just how awesome you are. So that's why the anti-media rocks. But more news stories from us here. Give me just a moment. My technology is not in the blockchain, so it's super slow. Oh man. Oh man. Just want to thank UCY.TV for being our home. We are here Monday through Friday. Same time, 8 to 9, 11 to 12, depending on what side of the world you're on. So here's something interesting. Did you know that only 10 countries in the entire world are not at war? Miss Claire wrote this for us yesterday. So, United States, a troubling report by the Institute of Economics and Peace found a mere 10 nations on the planet are not at war and completely free from conflict. According to the Global Peace Index of 2016, only Botswana, Chile, Costa Rica, Japan, Mauritius, Panama, Qatar, Switzerland, Uruguay, and Vietnam are free from conflict. Iceland tops the list of the most peaceful country in the world, followed by Denmark, Austria, New Zealand, Portugal, Czech Republic, Switzerland, Canada, Japan, Slovenia, while the United States, ranked far lower at 103. Palestine, placed in the index of 163 nations for the first time this year, ranked 148th. War-torn Syria placed at the bottom of the list, lower than only South Sudan, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen, Central African Republic, Ukraine, Sudan, and Libya. So that's pretty daunting. And you wonder why. See, I ponder a lot, and I wonder, how did we get right here to this very place? And it's because of perpetual war. It's the only answer I have. It's the only way you can suppress people for so long. But people are fighting back in all aspects, don't get me wrong. Like, the war on drugs is pretty interesting. There's an aspect you may not have heard of, though. You know that depending on what state you live in, you may or may not have access to legal marijuana, or cannabis, as I like to call it. But in other places, like Washington, the last decade has seen a significant vast shift in the public's narrative on cannabis. In the last 10 years, 11 states have legalized medicinal cannabis, and 4 states, as well as Washington, D.C., have legalized recreational use. Countless scientific studies have confirmed the high medicinal value of cannabinoids. Even the stubborn U.S. government has admitted it is interested in how far cannabis-based medicine can go. However, this hasn't seemed to deter one postal service worker in Bremen, Washington. Kathy Hartwell, owner of Pacific Cannabis Company, filed a complaint with her local post office when she noticed she wasn't receiving her mail on a regular basis. After looking at security footage, she discovered the postal worker, who was supposed to be delivering her mail, was walking right past her shop. On occasion, captured on video, the postal worker handed a package off to a customer leaving the shop, allegedly stating, "I don't want to go in there." Hartwell, who was a former post office employee herself, said in an interview that the postal worker's actions are illegal. So, this is interesting, that they're not able to get their mail because they're a pot business. Pretty sure they pay taxes just like everyone else. But that's backwards land. Hello, hello! Back on the radio. You guys hear me? Sorry about that. We were right in the middle of an awesome news story. We were reading on the antimedia.org. Okay, so here's a really interesting story. So, did you guys know that the media falsely reported that Roseanne endorsed Trump and he himself fell for it? Like, do you not even know who's influencing you? Am I there? But my gosh, I'm just having the most technical issues tonight. I really apologize. There I am! Yay! Go internet! Um, so we'll move on to the next story here. If you guys are super interested, you can go back, read it yourselves. But this is interesting to me. I always get a little suspicious of these kinds of things, military tests and such. But the FAA warns that a mysterious military test will cause widespread GPS disruptions. Are you excited? Get excited. Starting June 7th and continuing for the next month, the FAA has warned airplane pirates. Pirates? Oh man. Airplane pilots that GPS signals on the West Coast, and especially over California and Nevada, may be impacted. The reason why is not exactly clear, but as Gizmod notes, the U.S. military will be testing a device or devices that will potentially jam GPS signals for 6 hours each day. Officially, the tests were announced by the FAA, but are centered near the U.S. Navy's largest installation in the Mojave Desert, China Lake, located just down the road from Area 51. The Navy has kept silent about the nature of the tests. As Gizmodo adds, the FAA issued an advisory warning pilots on Saturday that global positioning systems will be unreliable during 6 different days this month, primarily in the southern United States on June 7th, 9th, 21st, 23rd, 28th, and 30th. The GPS interference testing will be taking place between 9:30 and 3:30 p.m. But if you're on the ground, you probably won't notice the difference. So it's just good to be aware of what's going on around in your community. At the end, the article asks if readers have any or more information. Please write in and comment. There's some specific information in the article. If it relates to you, check it out. We always like to hear from you guys. But it's interesting. I wonder what kind of effects that will have as a result. Back to the cannabis, all the stuff that matters. So, cannabis is increasingly known to treat a variety of ailments, but a new, unexpected use for the plant has emerged amid one of the worst man-made disasters in American history. Thousands of, not a thousand, but thousands of residents were sickened and evacuated when a decrepit methane storage well at SoCal Gas, northern Los Angeles, Aliso, Callan. My gosh. See, I'm subluxated. Can't even read, friends. A canyon facility ruptured, initiating a months-long blowout that unleashed 100,000 metric tons of methane into the atmosphere from October to February, though it's possible an even higher volume was released. Residents of Porter Ranch and other nearby communities experienced nausea, bloody noses, and skin rashes. To name a few of the symptoms, one resident of nearby Granada Hills, located only 2 miles from Aliso Canyon, though ineligible for relocation, began to experience staggering cluster headaches. They are often called suicide headaches because the chronic pain can be so extreme. Doctors have seen patients kill themselves to escape it. The man, who wishes to remain anonymous for reasons explained in the article, developed the condition just days before SoCalGas publicly acknowledged the leak. Within few options and in severe pain, he found relief from CBD oil. I have never experienced a single cluster headache in my life prior to the onset of these, and my symptoms virtually parallel the time frame of the Aliso Canyon gas leak, he told the anti-media in an interview. They came on with a vengeance when it began and subsided only after it was plugged. The man who will be referred to as Roger Stein described his symptoms. They began by actually waking me up in the middle of the night. They feel different from migraines, tending to start in the top left top rear of the head and gradually pushing out from behind the right eye, which swells nearly shut and reddens by the morning. Ow? He explained. Stein sent a picture of his irritated right eye to his doctor, who determines his symptoms were consistent with cluster headaches. Though Stein, 62, had experienced severe headaches before, he says that these were different. I was familiar with the occasional migraine headaches. I controlled migraines very well with Excedrin and lying down, but I only suffer migraines on the average of twice a year. Excedrin failed to stop the pain, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. I read the symptoms of cluster headaches and are similar to those of oxygen deprivation into the brain. So he began using a few things that didn't work, but of course he was desperate for relief and he didn't like getting high, but he tried CBD oil because you don't really get high from it. It's non-psychoactive, just to get the relief of the medicine. So he said that he was able to read the newspaper and look at the screen and feel better after he tried CBD. So we've shared a lot of CBD stories with you guys. This one's really long, so if you want to read it, I recommend that you go to our theantimedia.org. Carrie did an excellent job. Check it out. And if you guys don't know about the worst made man disasters in history, you can look at our archives. We definitely have an article about that in there. So back to the chiropractic. I really recommend that you guys consider the philosophy of chiropractic. It's wonderful because you see somebody who will treat you as a whole being. But I warn you that there are a lot of chiropractors who are desperate. So they try and trap people in care plans and make them go all this unnecessary time. I'm sure you've heard stories where you're like, oh, once you go to the chiropractor, you have to go forever. And I just recommend finding one who wants to help you maintain. I guarantee it that you probably have some sort of issue with your spine. Most people are born with a misalignment just from the sheer fact of being pushed out from our mothers. It has to be like one of the most painful things we endure as a people. But I really recommend that you guys try to go to a chiropractor. And hello for the third time this evening. You're live with Lavonne on the Anti-Media. Happy to be back with you guys. Sorry I keep getting disconnected. I wanted to leave you with 12 good reasons to see a chiropractor if I didn't already convince you with my awesome interrupted show and complete unorganization due to said interruptions. But in all seriousness, nerve interference is a thing, dude. Your brain needs to talk to your body, and I'm gonna have so many anxiety attacks if you don't go get it checked out. Nerve damage can and may occur to nerve fibers other than the tiny nerve pain fibers, and the tiny pain fibers are small and less liable to mechanically cause irritation. Therefore, harmful nerve damage can occur without pain. Oh my gosh! That's why you need to go get checked. Also, you increase your resistance to disease. Nerve compression from spinal misalignments, which we talked about earlier, affects the inherent capabilities of the body during healthy and unhealthy states. Chiropractic adjustments positively influence the immune system. Woo! Number 3, to help maintain muscle tension and spasm cycles. So, when you stretch the joint capsule of a fixated joint, you can inhibit the nerve response for muscle spasms, cycles of pain, and immobility. What that means is when you actually adjust the bone and put it where it belongs, you release the tension on those muscles so that you don't get spasms. And you allow them to work properly so that you get less pain and more mobility. So number 4 reason to see a chiropractor is to prevent abnormal nerve signals resulting from stress. Oh my God. Stress and muscle tension traumatize the proprioceptors, the preposition sensors, causing abnormal nerve impulses. Number 5, this is a good one, to improve flexibility. Asymptomatic, or people without symptoms, increase their ranges of motion and symmetry with chiropractic care. I was working on this girl one time who had never had chiropractic, and she still hasn't, but I noticed that her spine was really crooked in certain areas. And you can tell when you look at her that one of her shoulders is higher than the other. She didn't notice until I told her. But you can look at people and you can realize like where their posture's off. You start to notice. It's really interesting. So number 7. Oh, wait, did I miss number 6? Number 6, to improve joint functioning, chiropractic increases the movement of restricted or fixated joints or subluxations and reduces the excess movement of adjacent compensating hypermobile joints. So you know when you guys like twist your neck and sometimes you hear and you think you're adjusting it, you're not. So what happens is when one bone gets out of place, the one above it and below it become hypermobile, which means they move more. When you move your neck, it's just supposed to move. You're not supposed to get a crack or a crick or a crunch or anything. It's supposed to just have a nice fluid motion with no sound. So if you're getting that crickling and the cracking or the eggshells, this might be time to see a chiropractor. Number 7 reason to see a chiropractor is to improve athletic performance. Chiropractic care led to improved agility, balance, speed of reaction time, power, and kinesthetic perception. Even small biomechanical abnormalities result in a significant amount of stress on joints. That's important. Altered proprioceptive input interferes with normal patterns of motion, balance, coordination, equilibrium. So you're gonna be more streamlined. Your body's gonna be working faster because it's in a place where it literally belongs. So to improve organic functioning, chiropractic can decrease blood pressure. Function of visceral organs such as the heart, bladder, and digestive organs are influenced by nerve impulses from the spine. What an idea. Patients with duodenal ulcers responded better to chiropractic care than to traditional medical care. So you can use it to increase all aspects of the body, not only mobility of the spine. Number 9, to prevent spine disc degeneration. Lack of motion in the spine increases the tendency for disc malnutrition. The most critical variable responsible for the degeneration of disc is declining nutrition. To prevent abnormal nerve signals, a dysfunctioning joint sends persistently disturbed sensory feedback to the nervous system. Therefore, existing motor patterns have to be modified. Impaired proprioceptive input is related to problems with the musculoskeletal system. And to improve posture, spinal and postural re-education occurs with rehabilitative techniques since the body's proprioceptors have the ability to learn. Proprioceptors. Spinal manipulation helps to improve postural and kinesthetic awareness. Number 12, to reduce the possibility of pain due to joint dysfunction. So if you're in pain, it's already late. The problem already happened. Pain is your body's way of saying, help me. So don't ignore pain. Okay, chronic lower back pain isn't an injury, but a result of a downward spiral of inactivity and reduced functional capacity. Visual recovery reported after specific adjustments to the cervical spine. Chiropractic adjustments demonstrated to heal duodenal ulcers both endoscopically and pain relief 10 days earlier normal than traditional care. Chiropractic adjustments may be an effective and safe non-pharmacological alternative for relieving pain. And it can be received as an infant, and it relieved infantile colic within 2 weeks, or 94% of the cases. So do yourself a favor, love on yourself. Don't be overwhelmed by the daunting, horrible election, and be awesome. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo. Check.